What I ask you, is more dangerous the enemy who strikes with a blade or the friend who smiles with open hands? Men believe they crave truth, yet it is the mask, not the face, that governs their faith. They cling to illusions as a drowning man clings to driftwood, mistaking survival for choice. To influence them, one must not shatter their delusions, but feed them, carefully, ruthlessly, until they no longer know where their will ends and yours begins. The secret lies not in force, but in unseen dominion. And once you glimpse this truth, you will never see men the same again. Imagine for a moment that men truly saw one another as they are. The trembling insecurities, the desperate ambitions, the shameful weaknesses that lie beneath the skin, laid bare before every eye. Do you think society would stand? No, it would collapse into chaos, for men do not live by truth, but by illusions carefully constructed and faithfully believed. This is why the mask is not merely useful, it is essential. To walk in power without disguise is to invite your own undoing. You must understand people are not ruled by reality, but by perception. And perception can be molded, polished, and sharpened like a blade. Consider the difference between the man who reveals himself and the man who cloaks himself. The honest one is predictable, and thus powerless. His emotions, his convictions, his loyalties exposed for all to see, become weapons in the hands of others. But the one who conceals, who presents only fragments of himself, who wears a mask designed for the occasion, he is untouchable. No one can strike what they cannot grasp, and while others exhaust themselves defending their fragile identities, he slips unnoticed into the fortress of their minds. The mask is not a lie, it is a tool. It is not a betrayal of the self, but a shaping of it. Men crave illusions more than they crave bread, for illusions make the bitter palatable, the cruel tolerable, the impossible achievable. If you wish to bend their will, you must offer them the image they hunger to see. To the proud, become the mirror of their greatness. To the fearful, embody their protector. To the desperate, play the savior they have long awaited. And when they believe in you, they are not believing in you at all, but in the mask you have crafted from their own desires. Yet masks are not merely shields, they are weapons. The mask can disarm an enemy before the battle begins, seduce allies without a word, and secure loyalty without the burden of truth. Those who despise masks most are the ones who wear them worst. They imagine authenticity to be a virtue, but what they call authenticity is only laziness, the inability to shape the self into something greater. Understand this: men will always project meaning upon your face. Better then to decide what meaning they will see than to leave it to chance. To master the mask is to hold dominion over appearances, and appearances rule the world. Thrones have crumbled, armies have deserted, and empires have bowed not to steel, but to symbols, gestures, and crafted images. You need not be great, you need only to appear so. In the theater of power, the mask is the role, and the role is reality. Those who forget this are condemned to play in another man's script, never realizing the mask upon the stage was the true sovereign all along. Every man carries within him strings, invisible to the eye yet stronger than chains of iron. They are woven from his pride, his fears, his hungers, and the secret wounds he would never confess. To the untrained mind, these strings are hidden, tangled in the complexity of his nature. But to the one who observes with patience, who listens not only to words but to silences, who watches the flicker of the eyes and the tremor of the hand, they reveal themselves in perfect clarity. And once you see them, you need not force, you need not struggle, you simply pull, and he moves. Men speak endlessly of reason, of choice, of freedom. Yet reason is but the servant of desire, choice but the mask of compulsion, freedom but the stage upon which unseen forces drag them by the strings. Influence is not the art of changing a man's mind, but of uncovering the hidden levers that already command him. Do not waste yourself trying to argue or persuade. Persuasion is for the weak. Instead, find what he worships, what he dreads, what he secretly longs for, and make yourself the answer to it. He will not resist, for resistance would mean resisting himself. The proud man must be praised, the ambitious man tempted, the fearful man reassured, the lonely man embraced. Each string responds to its own touch. The greatest error is to treat all men the same, for each soul is its own instrument, and every instrument must be played differently. To master influence is to become a musician of human nature, striking the precise note that sets the whole body to motion. He will think himself free, yet he dances to your hand. But remember, strings are delicate. Pull too hard and they snap, leaving the man useless to you. Pull too often and he grows suspicious, sensing the pattern of your hand. Influence must be subtle, a pressure felt but never traced. Let him believe he is the author of his actions, that he moves of his own accord, that his choices are born from his will. This illusion will protect your control better than any force. A man resents being commanded, but he will defend with his life the desires he believes are his own. Learn to see the strings in everyone. Watch them in crowds, in enemies, in allies, in those closest to you. Especially in those closest to you. For it is there the strings are strongest, most dangerous, and most rewarding to command. When you master this art, you will never again waste strength against another man's resistance. He will carry you forward with his own power, blind to the hand that directs him. Sweetness alone is fragile, and poison alone is feared. But when you learn to master both, when you lace your honey with venom, you create a bond that no man can easily escape. Influence is not secured by charm alone, for charm fades like perfume in the wind. Nor is it held by fear alone, for fear breeds rebellion in silence. But the union of pleasure and pain, of warmth and dependence, this is the iron grip disguised as an embrace. Men are quick to trust those who flatter, to follow those who soothe their pride, to love those who ease their burdens. Offer them honey, and they will open their gates without question. But what happens when, beyond the sweetness, you plant the seed of necessity? When they taste not only the delight of your presence, but the dread of your absence. That is when they are bound, not by loyalty, not by affection, but by need. Gratitude evaporates with time, need does not. The clever hand gives with one finger and takes with the other. You offer comfort, but you tie it to your presence. You give counsel, but you make it indispensable. You provide opportunity, but you leave them unable to seize it without you. In this way, the sweetness of your honey masks the bite of your venom. They believe they are blessed by your gifts, yet the very gifts chain them to you. And the more they rely on what you provide, the more powerless they become when you withhold it. Never make the mistake of giving freely without design. A man who is merely grateful today may despise you tomorrow. Gratitude is the most fleeting of emotions. It dies in the shadow of envy or entitlement. But a man who depends on you, who feels his strength falter when you are absent, who fears the emptiness you can create, such a man will endure humiliation, suspicion, even hatred, yet he will not break away. The art lies in balance. Too much honey and he grows spoiled, forgetting his debt. Too much poison and he withdraws in terror. But give him just enough sweetness to crave more, just enough venom to dread losing it, and you will find him locked in a prison he cannot see, a prison whose bars he builds with his own hands. This is why the masters of influence are neither wholly loved nor wholly feared. They are needed. And there is no greater form of power than to be the one a man cannot imagine living without. The hand that rules most effectively is the one no man sees. Influence ceases to be influence the moment it is exposed. If they suspect you of guiding them, they stiffen in pride, they rebel against the very suggestion that they are not free. But if you allow them the illusion of independence, if you bury your hand deep in the shadows, then they will march willingly into the snare, believing each step to be their own. Men love their freedom, yet they seldom know what to do with it. They boast of independence while leaning upon opinions borrowed from others, upon traditions they never questioned, upon fears they cannot name. The wise do not confront this illusion. They feed it. They whisper not commands, but suggestions. They scatter hints, symbols, gestures that awaken what already slumbers in another's heart. And when he acts, convinced it was his own thought, your victory is perfect. He will defend the choice you planted in him more fiercely than any command you could have given. The power of the unseen hand lies in its invisibility. Once revealed, it is resented, but while hidden, it becomes irresistible. The weak persuader proclaims, "Follow me, do this, believe that." The true master never speaks so plainly. He shapes the soil, and men believe the seed sprouted of itself. He places a flame near dry wood, and men think it caught fire on its own. He arranges the stage so cleverly that when the actor performs, he swears the script was his own invention. Never underestimate the pride of men. They will accept chains as long as they believe they are bracelets. They will obey your designs as long as they believe they are following their own desires. But show your hand too boldly, and they will curse you, not because they hate your guidance, but because you robbed them of the dream that they were free. So, speak little, imply much. Act rarely, but always at the decisive moment. Allow others to believe they saw the path first, that the revelation came from their own mind. Smile as they proclaim their independence, while every step they take falls exactly where you placed the stones. The one who controls without appearing to control holds the most unshackable power of all. The shadow hand is the hand that rules forever. Peace is the slow poison of ambition. When men grow comfortable, when their days flow without disruption, they become blind to the forces that guide them. Influence withers in stillness, for no man seeks a leader when he feels secure. If you wish to command, you must disturb. You must fracture the calm and awaken the tremors of uncertainty. For it is in the storm, not the sunlight, that men look desperately for an anchor. Chaos is the great stage upon which power is performed. When doubt spreads, when loyalties clash, when fear sharpens every breath, then the hand that offers direction becomes irresistible. Men do not follow because they love you. They follow because they need something stronger than their confusion. Create the conditions where every choice is dangerous, every step uncertain, and then present yourself as the one who knows the way. The fire you light in secret will drive them into your arms in search of refuge. But chaos must never consume you. The fool unleashes disorder only to be swallowed by it. The master stirs just enough conflict to fracture the peace, then moves swiftly to contain it, to shape it, to position himself as the only answer. You are not the storm, you are the eye within it, calm and unmoved, while the world spins in turmoil around you. From that center you dictate the rhythm of fear and the timing of hope. Understand that men crave certainty, even if it is an illusion. If they cannot find it in the world, they will cling to the one who projects it most convincingly. Let rivals rage and stumble in the whirlwind you release. Let allies grow anxious and desperate. Then appear steady, measured, as though you alone foresaw the storm and prepared for it. In that moment, chaos becomes not your enemy, but your most faithful servant. Do not be afraid to break harmony when harmony blinds men to their need for you. A man asleep in comfort has no reason to seek a master, but a man who wakes to fire at his door will follow anyone who promises safety. That is the secret. When you are the source of both the wound and the cure, you become unavoidable. Influence is not preserved in peace, it is forged in unrest, in doubt, in the fear you quietly orchestrate. And when the storm rages, the hand that steadies becomes the hand that rules. Power that lives only in the present is fragile, like smoke carried off by the wind. Influence must root itself deeper, into the memory, into the story a man tells himself long after your voice has faded. To command the moment is simple, to command the future is rare. But if you shape how men remember you, if you leave impressions that echo long after your presence has withdrawn, then you do not merely rule the living, you haunt them. Every word, every gesture, every silence must be planted with intention. Men forget events, but they do not forget how they felt in the shadow of another's presence. If you can weave yourself into their emotions, if you can entwine your image with their triumphs, their fears, their revelations, then even in absence you remain. The strongest chains are not tied around the body but around memory, for memory dictates choice, and choice builds destiny. This is why influence must always aim beyond the immediate. Do not seek only to move them today. Teach them to think in patterns that lead back to you tomorrow. Speak not only to their reason, but to the myth they wish to become. Let them believe they are writing their own story, yet ensure your hand holds the pen that shapes its chapters. The greatest victory is not when they obey in your presence, but when they act in your interest, believing it to be their own will. Symbols, rituals, words repeated at the right moment. These are the bricks from which legacy is built. Nations rise on the memory of a conqueror. Armies endure on the memory of discipline. Men sacrifice willingly for the memory of love or loyalty. To endure beyond yourself, you must transform your influence into legend, into a presence they cannot kill because it no longer resides in the flesh but in their minds. Understand this: wealth disappears, thrones topple, power shifts from hand to hand, but the man who has shaped memory reigns even in his grave. His voice speaks through the mouths of others, his will carries through generations, his shadow rules where his body is no longer seen. That is the essence of true influence. Not to command today, but to become the unseen author of tomorrow. The one who plants himself in memory never dies.